By the lack of snow, but your car probably is already feeling the cold. He's at Gordy Boucher Nissan getting the scoop.
Yes, and you know what? The weather outside is already changing. It was nice and warm this morning, but just as we were setting up.
That's what I thought he was going to say.
I was like, whoa, holy moly, it got cold. So now's a good time to be thinking about your car, what you need to do to it to make sure it survives one of our brutal winters, especially when there's like 12 inches of snow on the ground. Yuck. Mitch is here with Boucher. Come on over, Mitch. Now there's you're working on a bunch of stuff here in the garage. This is where all the action is, right?
Yeah, this is where it's all happening.
Okay, so can you show us some of the things that people need to be looking at or be fixing for the winter season?
You bet.
Can we walk around and see something that's being worked on?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Winterization. Now, winterization almost sounds like you're packing something up for the winter, putting the saran wrap on it, you know. And
we're kind of doing the opposite here. We're getting it ready for the winter, so it's going out to be used. So.
Okay. So what are the basic things?
So we're going to look at a number of basic things here. We're going to look at the tires because we want to make sure we stay on the road.
Okay.
We're going to look at the brakes because we want to make sure we can stop.
Okay.
We're going to take a look at the suspension and make sure that it's ready for the winter and safe. We're going to take a look at the antifreeze and make sure it protects the vehicle down to about 25 below zero, which we're going to need this year.
Okay.
And those are some of the main things we're going to be looking at: safety, maintenance, the basic stuff.
Okay. Now I am a doer of all things, just so you know. And I do like to get my hands a little dirty. So I'm wondering if there's there's cars in here being worked on. Is there something that I can help and then we can look up close so we can see what people should be looking at?
Sure. For example, we've got this one right over here.
Oh, okay, come on over here. This is up on the rack. This is called the rack, right?
Yep. So this one is in for one of our quick service, which basically we do and try to do it in 30 minutes or less.
Okay.
And we're going to be taking a look at the brakes here at the back. This is going to be a drum brake on the front. We can see them a little bit better.
Oh, disc brakes. Come this way. A lot of you have the drum brake in the back.
And so we're going to be taking a look at the front brakes here, making sure that there's no corrosion. In this case, we do have some corrosion, but this rotor still looks fairly safe.
Now, to the naked eye, if you're your average Joe driving your car, how do you know when to bring something like this in? Is there like a time period that you should always be checking brakes specifically, or what?
Brakes are usually related to your driving style. So some go faster, some take longer.
Based on my commute this morning, everybody drives crazy. So you are probably one of those
Do a lot of stop and go, they'll go a lot quicker.
Okay.
The best thing you can do on this is bring it into one of our stores or another facility. We've got 16 in the area.
Okay.
And when we take them apart, we can take a real good look. Some of this you have to have the wheel off, and it's much better to have the experts look at it. When we get down to this thing, we're going to be miking this out, measuring how thick it is, and we're measuring the thickness of the pad. Okay. Very hard to do with the tires still on the car.
Now here's a good question about brakes. For somebody who doesn't have anti-lock brakes.
Okay.
Okay. A lot of people don't. But most cars probably do have them now, right? It's like more of a standard.
More than not.
More than that. Okay. If you don't have the anti-lock brakes, how are you supposed to use your brakes effectively so that you don't screw anything up when it gets scary out there?
Good question. Basically, what those ABS brakes do is they pulse the pedal much faster than you could physically do it yourself.
So it's almost like pumping it like this.
Very fast. It'll pump it thousands of times a second. When you do it, you're going to try to pump your brakes a little bit, and that'll help you get it, because you don't want the tire to lock up. The minute it locks up, you're just going to slide. You're just going to slide at that point.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a look at some other things that you guys can check out and make sure that your car's geared up. I'm looking for grease. I want to get my hands dirty.
Okay.
We're gonna get my hands dirty coming up in a little bit. So stick around. More tips for you too to get prepared. I'm gonna get ready.
I just pictured Tony in a scene from Grease, like Grease is the word. Oh, absolutely.
Welcome back to Real Milwaukee. We're at Boucher Nissan in Waukesha because you're probably thinking about getting your car ready for winter, and that's really what Wisconsin's all about, is driving in the snow and the crazy stuff. And there's some cool stuff going on over here. And Mitch is with the service guys here at the dealership, looking at some specific things that people can watch out for and fix before it gets crazy out there, so that they know what they're doing. Now, this is interesting because we were just talking about brakes, but this is taking things a little step further, right? What's going on in here besides
So basically what he's doing is we found these brakes are needing to be replaced.
Okay.
We've got the new pads on there. We're using some lubricant to lubricate the back of the pad, the edge of the clip here, and we're making sure that that pad doesn't stick so it doesn't wear out prematurely. This is also going to make the brake quieter by applying this to the back. If those aren't done, your brake's going to wear out much quicker, and you're also going to get a lot more noise from your braking system.
Okay, now here's a real question I can ask you, and a lot of people are probably figuring this out, that like if they go to a dealership or they go to a garage anywhere, and they go, you know what, I went in for one thing, and then I came out and they said, you need this done, you need this done, you need this done. What can people watch out for so they know they're not duped into getting things they don't need?
Best advice that I have for you on that is have them show you what they're talking about. They can put it in the air, they can show you the product, they can look at the fluids and show you what it needs. If they're not willing to show you, that's probably something I wouldn't go for.
Then that's the problem,
yeah,
obviously. Now with this over here, this car is getting something a little bit different, but not the brakes. Right. But this is now, you were talking about, it's antifreeze that we're working on?
So basically here we're changing out the antifreeze. We just drained it out. We're going to put new antifreeze in so we protect the car to negative 26 degrees. And we're also going to put the antifreeze in so that it keeps the vehicle ready in the summertime so that it doesn't overheat. So that's kind of the lifeblood of the engine. If it freezes up the block, the engine's no good.
And especially if you don't have a garage, which a lot of people don't.
Right.
If you don't have a remote start, which a lot of people don't. Right. That's something you really want to get checked out as well.
You want to make sure. And there's a couple ways to check it. We have a dip strip we use, almost like a litmus paper, to check it. And that's one of the best ways to know you're really due for it.
And that's also another way to know that you're not, that it's being done the right way. Right. Because you have the scientific proof.
I can show you exactly, you know, if it's getting corrosive, you want to get it out of there because it'll cost you more in the long run.
Right. Now, tires, here's the other question going along with the brakes. The tires, rotating them. A lot of people don't rotate their tires. And that's where they kind of get into trouble. How often do you guys recommend that people change?
We're going to try to rotate the tires about every 6,000 miles. If we leave the front tires on about 15,000 miles, they'll be gone.
Okay.
So if we don't rotate them, we'll run out of tire about twice as fast. We also want to make sure we align it every 15,000 miles. You can't drive out there without hitting those potholes. We all know that.
That is true. Yeah. And of course, I learned the hard way that if your tires are bald and you're trying to move in the winter and you don't rotate your tires, you can't move anywhere because you're slamming on the gas and you're like, why can't I go anywhere? And then it's because the tires are all.
And not moving probably isn't as bad as sliding off the road. So that's the other.
That is true because then you get hit.
Then you get it. Then you have a bigger issue.
Look at this. We're already talking about the horrors of winter. It's coming up.
It's coming.
All right. Coming up, we'll take a look at a couple more things that you guys could take a look at before you head out. And maybe we'll put together a laundry list of things to check.
We can
put it out there on Facebook so you know what to look at. That's coming up.
All right. Thanks, Tony. We'll check back with you. Did you guys hear this news? Just saying. All right, let's get back up to Tony quickly. Gordy Boucher Nissan, he is getting ready for winter. Good morning.
You gotta have a pretty skinny head to get up
there. Yeah. Oh, hello. Hi.
I heard something about having a skinny head.
Me too.
Yeah, what?
What about my skinny head? What?
I don't know. That's what we heard. Carry on.
Anyway, so there's a lot of things, you guys, that you don't see when your car's in your garage. Now, how much do you think it costs to get one of these racks put in your garage?
Very expensive. A rack like this would probably be $10,000 bucks.
But the alternative is to bring it into a place like this and get it looked at because you can see things. Now, this is an interesting story. Right. Because you were looking at something and found
So we have a
else.
Gentleman come in for just a routine oil change. He's heading to Florida next week. Okay. And what we found is he needed a couple fluid maintenances. We had to change out the coolant. It was due. Yep. And we also have a tie rod end, which is part of the steering system.
Oh, this is something you don't normally see.
That we don't normally see. And this tie rod has had too much play in it. If we have too much play, we're going to wear out our tires. We're not going to have control of the vehicle. And if we get too much play for too long, that could snap off, and then we've got no control.
So way too loose, and then you basically now you can still steer, but you're just not going to have.
But you're also going to get a lot of tire wear because that tire is going to be walking back and forth like this while you're driving straight.
Now, is this something that you would bring the customer in and say, "Hey, look, this is kind of."
And you can see him screwing in the new tie rod right now.
Oh, a brand new one's going right in. And look at this as it happens.
Yep. And so he's putting the new tie rod in, he's going to rebolt it back together, and then he's probably going to line it afterwards because we've also obviously changed the suspension system when we take that part apart.
Tom, how long do you wash your hands after work? How long does it take?
Good couple minutes.
Just a couple minutes, that's it? Okay, I was always curious.
We've got really good soap.
That's the best part. Now, can people get that soap? Or is that's secret soap?
We got secret soap.
Secret soap, right. Carry on, Tom. Now, over here, this is something I thought was totally cool. Now, this totally doesn't have anything to do with, I guess, you don't drop the engine to get your car ready for winter.
So in this case, we had an antifreeze leak in the top of the motor. And what we're doing here is pulling the engine to correct that. This is the kind of thing that can happen if you don't change out your antifreeze.
So it basically wasn't changed. You got fluids kind of going all over the place.
Basically, as that fluid stays in there a long time, the pH level gets higher and it starts to become caustic. It starts to chew seals up.
It eats away at the
engine. It eats away at the seals, and then once we get seal leaks, then we start having leaks in other issues.
So if you've never seen an engine dropped out of a car,
and this is not only the engine, this is the whole power plant for the vehicle. It's the engine and transmission.
Holy moly! So there's nothing in there.
So this is the only thing that's left in here is the drive shaft and the tires and so forth.
We could make this like a real Milwaukee clown car. Can pop out of the hood. Now there's no engine in it. All right, well, we'll get that laundry list. Oh, God, loud in here.
Yes, it's going to be very loud.
We'll get that laundry list of things you need to check coming up at the end of the show, so you guys can check that and cross things off your list for winter.
Right out in Nicole's alley. She loves a good checklist. Thanks, Tony.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Welcome back to Real Milwaukee at Boucher Nissan here in Waukesha. Mitch, thank you so much for showing us a little bit of what we need.
Thanks for coming out.
Quick things before I go.
Sure.
What do we need to check?
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're checking tires, we're checking coolant, we're checking suspension. We're checking brakes. Those are the main things that you're going to check for the wintertime.
We'll get the list on our Facebook page so you guys can check these things out. By the way, they do all makes and models here.
All makes and models.
Get them all
16 stores in the Wisconsin area.
And a real Milwaukee business. There you go. We'll see you guys later while I finish this list.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Tom. He's working on the list.
Brenda on Facebook says that African penguins live about 20 years.